Chapter 11. My Mom's Wedding Day. Saturday, November 1st, 7 p.m. The Plaza Hotel. It's been a very strange day. When I woke up this morning, the apartment was very quiet. I went to my mom's bedroom and knocked on the door, but nobody answered. So I opened the door and went inside. No one was there. A few minutes later, the phone rang. It was my dad. "Dad, Mom has disappeared," I said. "And Mr. Giannini isn't here either. Where are they?"
"Don't worry, Mia," said my dad. "Your mother is okay. She's written you a letter. I have it here. You can have it at 8 o'clock tonight."
"But Dad, the wedding is at 8 o'clock tonight."
"I know," said my dad. "I have to go now, Mia."
"No, Dad, wait." But my dad hung up the phone. Then it rang again. It was Grandmère.
"Are you and your mother ready?" she asked. "We're all going to the beauty salon. You have to get your hair and makeup done."
Mom's left already," I said.
"Well," said Grandmère, "the limousine is coming to your apartment at 10 o'clock to pick you up."
When the limousine arrived, Grandmère was sitting in it with Maman.
"Your mother has gone to another beauty salon," said Grandmère. "Your father told me."
We went to Grandmère's favorite beauty salon, Chez Paolo. We stayed there all day. When we left, our hair and makeup looked beautiful. Then we went back to the Plaza Hotel, and I put on my lovely pink dress and shoes. I'm sitting here in a little room, waiting for my mom. 9 p.m. My mom and Mr. Giannini are married. At 7:45, the wedding guests began to arrive at the white and gold room. Hundreds of famous people came. There were rock stars, millionaires, and film actors. There were members of royal families and beautiful models. At 8 o'clock, I asked my dad for my mom's letter. I read it, and then I had to sit down. I couldn't believe what I read. Then my dad went to the front of the room and made a speech to the guests.
"Thank you all for coming here tonight," he said. "Unfortunately, the wedding will not take place this evening. This morning, Helen Thermopolis and Frank Giannini eloped. They flew to Mexico and got married secretly."
Grandmère screamed and almost fell from her chair. Vigo ran to help her.
"But please stay and have dinner with us," continued my dad. "There is lots of wonderful food and wine in the ballroom. And thank you again for coming."
The guests were very surprised. They stood up and went into the ballroom. I read the letter from my mom again. "My dear Mia, you will be reading this letter at 8 o'clock. By that time, Frank and I will be married. I couldn't tell you our plans before. I didn't want your grandmother to ask you questions about us. You're a wonderful daughter, and you've helped me a lot during this crazy time. This new baby will be very lucky. He or she will have a wonderful big sister. Your loving Mom." I wasn't shocked by the news of Mom's secret marriage. It's very romantic. I was shocked because my father helped my mom and Mr. Giannini. And my dad stopped Grandmère's plans. My dad has always been frightened of Grandmère. I went up to my father and put my arms around him. I hugged him tightly. "You did it, Dad," I said, laughing. "Grandmère will be really mad when she knows the truth."
"Why are you surprised, Mia?" he said. "I'm not frightened of my mother. She isn't as bad as you think."
Just then, Vigo came over to us.
"Your Highness," he said to my dad, "your mother, the Dowager Princess Clarice, is in her hotel suite. She won't come out. She's upset and embarrassed."
My dad and I went up to my Grandmère's penthouse suite. My dad knocked on the door.
"Mother," he called, "it's Philippe. Please open this door at once."
There was no reply. "Dad," I said quietly, "let me speak to her." "Grandmère, it's me, Mia," I called through the door. "Mom and Mr. Giannini eloped, and I'm really sorry, but Mom didn't want this big wedding. I told you that." Still there was no reply. "Grand-mère," I said, "you're not behaving like a princess. A princess must always be brave, even if things go wrong. You taught me that. A princess must never hide her face. Come down to the ballroom. Come to the party and speak to your guests." Suddenly the door opened and Grand-mère came out. She was wearing a purple dress and she had jewels in her hair.
"Of course I'm going back to the party," she said. "I had to put on more makeup. That's why I came up here." I looked at my dad, and my dad looked at me.
"Of course, Grand-mère," I said. Then Grand-mère did a surprising thing. She held my arm. Then I held my dad's arm. The three of us stood in the hallway, joined together. It was a very special moment. Sunday, November 2nd, 2 p.m. Everybody had a very good time at the party. Later in the evening, Hank arrived. Mamour and Papour were pleased to see him, and so were all the girls. He looked gorgeous. He even asked Grand-mère to dance. At 10 o'clock, Lars's cell phone rang. It was my mom calling from Mexico. She and Mr. Giannini were drinking champagne on a beach. She was really happy. I talked to her quietly because I didn't want Grand-mère to hear. A few minutes later, my dad came up to me.
"Mia, don't you want to meet your friends tonight?"
he asked. I hadn't forgotten about the Rocky Horror movie, but I remembered Grand-mère's words to me in princess classes.
"Your family is more important than your friends,"
she had said. But now Grand-mère was happy. She had forgotten about me. She was dancing with a famous film actor. "Yes," I said to my dad. "I do want to meet my friends."
"Well, you can go," he said.
Lars drove me to the Rocky Horror movie theater. When we got there, we drove up and down the street looking for my friends. Suddenly, I saw Lily. Boris and Michael were with her. Kenny Showalter and Michael's other friends from the computer club were there too. They were all dressed in weird costumes. They looked like characters from horror films and ghost stories. I got out of the car and ran toward them. Michael stared at me. "I don't have a horror costume," I said, looking down at my dress. "I'm sorry."
You look really,
he said. Then he stopped. What was he going to say? Didn't I look okay? Did my dress look stupid? We sat and watched the movie. I was sitting in a seat between Michael and Kenny. Lars sat behind me. Michael didn't say much. Kenny tried to talk to me, but I was only thinking about Michael. I sat beside him in the dark, and it was wonderful. The movie lasted for 2 hours, and it was really good. Afterwards, we went to a cafe called Round the Clock. I sat between Michael and Kenny. Everyone talked very loudly. Suddenly, Kenny whispered something in my ear. "Have you had any interesting mail lately?" he asked. Then I realized the truth. Michael wasn't Josie Rocks. Kenny was my secret admirer. Kenny is a really nice boy, and I like him. But he isn't as sexy and attractive as Michael Moskovitz. I looked at Kenny, and I tried to smile. "Oh, Kenny," I said. "Are you Josie Rocks?"
"Yes," said Kenny. "Will you come on a date with me, Mia?"
I was very disappointed. Kenny is a good friend, but do I want him to be my boyfriend? No, I'm in love with Michael. But I didn't want to hurt Kenny's feelings. I spoke kindly and quietly to him. "Okay, Kenny," I said. "I'll go out with you." Kenny smiled and put his arm around my shoulders. Michael saw Kenny putting his arm around me and smiling. Suddenly, Michael stood up. There was a weird expression on his face.
"I'm tired," he said. "Let's go home."
"What's wrong, Michael?" said Lily in a surprised voice. "I'm tired too," I said. "Lars, please can we go to the car?"
"Mia, can I call you later?"
asked Kenny. Lily looked at me. Then she looked at Kenny. Then she looked at Michael. Suddenly she stood up too. "Come on," she said to Boris. It's time to go. Lily, Boris, Michael and I went in the limousine with Lars. Michael sat beside me in the car. He was silent, and I felt terrible. Everything had gone wrong. At last, we arrived at the Moscovitz's apartment. Suddenly, Michael turned toward me.
You look really nice in that dress, he said.
I smiled at him. Suddenly, I felt happy again. Now I'm sitting in Grand-Mère's suite at the Plaza Hotel. Maybe things aren't so bad. Soon I'm going to have a new baby brother or sister. And I've got a really nice new stepfather, Mr. Giannini. Kenny called at midday. I'm going to see a Japanese movie with him at 4 o'clock. After that, I'm going to Lily's place. I'm going to spend the night there. We're going to watch a video of my favorite movie, Dirty Dancing. Yesterday was a special experience. Maybe I'll see Michael at breakfast tomorrow morning. That will be better than anything.